This course is presented to you free of charge by TTJ Tech Services of www.ttjtech.biz and by Sturitup of www.sturitup.com. And remember, Stir is spelled with a U, not an I, so that's STURITUP.com. TTJ Tech Services and Sturitup are pleased to offer this course to you to the glory of God and to the benefit of all those who listen. Well, praise God, and welcome to iPad for All Computing for this Monday. Hey, we're on session number 17, believe it or not. All right, so this is a big day for our iPad students because we today are going to start our journey into Apple Pages. Now, Pages is the word processing and page layout app that ships with every iPad. If for some reason you don't have it, you can download it for free from the App Store. And it is part of the productivity apps or suite of apps that Apple offers us. That sometimes falls and used to especially fall under the name of iWork. The names iWork and iLife have sort of been deprecated or what have you, it seems. But the apps are very, very much alive and well and very present. And we're going to take a look at all of them to one extent or another. Pages originated on the Mac. It was the replacement to what used to be Apple Works and Claris Works. Was the word processing component of that anyway. There were the other apps, Numbers and Keynote and so on. And it was introduced to the iPad right at the launch, actually, at the same time. It was 2010 when the iPad came out. Pages was part of that from the very beginning. And it has continued to grow. It's continued to be refined to the point that the Mac and iPad versions are virtually identical. There's just about no difference in the feature set and functionality at this point for the most part. But certainly the design is unique to each device to reflect how you interact with that device. The accessibility is just amazing. Okay, it truly is. So we have 3 sessions, including today, scheduled to talk about Pages, plus a lab. So technically 4 sessions if you count next week's lab. By next week's lab, the hope is you're going to be able to use Pages like a pro. Well, you're going to be able to use it pretty well. It's a learning experience for us all, and we all need to keep spending time with it and practice it. But at least by the lab next week, you'll have the chance to explore it and sort of know what it is that you're seeing when you do so. Today is very introductory with regard to Pages. We're going to talk about Pages. We're going to talk about what it's capable of. We're going to talk about the basics. We're going to show you around a little and even create a basic document. So lots on the agenda today. For starters, let's talk about the popular elephant in the room, if you will, which is how does Pages compare to Microsoft Word and even Google Docs? Because if you look at what people are saying out there and you listen to what people say, there's a lot of people who still feel they need to have Microsoft Word and Microsoft Office and so on their devices. And a lot of times, even people who are willing to admit that the Apple products are the better way to go and they're willing to switch to the Apple products, they still want to use a third-party app like Microsoft Word. Well, we're here to tell you that not only is that not necessary, but quite honestly, it's not very beneficial. Now, it's your choice. At the end of the day, there's no right or wrong. It's personal preference. You can download Microsoft Word from the App Store with a Microsoft Office 365 subscription. You can certainly have all of the features of Office and Word at your disposal if you so choose. And of course, Google Docs requires absolutely no subscription. It's free. But what you're going to find is that of the 3 apps, Pages, Word, and Google Docs, Pages is by far the most feature rich. It is a both a word processing app and a page layout app rolled into one, as Apple says, and they're exactly right. I will explain what that means a little bit later on in today's session so that you understand that. But it's the only one of the three apps that can truly say that to the extent that it can be said. And not only that, but Pages is by far the most accessible of the three apps. Now, there have been a lot of improvements made to the voiceover support in Microsoft Word, for example, and in Google Docs, but they're still not where Pages is, because Pages is designed from the ground up with special rotor options, special voiceover announcements, and other things that really just make it by far the most accessible of the three. And I've actually used all three for testing purposes. And Google Docs is one that I've had to use on several occasions when I was working with a school district that requested that I use it, right? So if they ask you to use it, and they're the boss, certainly you do it. And that's what I did. And that's fine. But when it's my choice, I will use Pages every time. And if they're not asking you to use something specific, here's the good news. You can still communicate, because that's the other thing that people will say then. Well, they say, well, you might be right. Maybe Pages is really the best. But look, I work in a professional institution and everybody uses Microsoft Word. Well, the question is, are they mandating that you use it? Because if they are, then yeah, you're going to have to use it. But if they're not, and if you have the choice, it is absolutely possible to interact with Microsoft Word users. User. It's possible to export documents into the Word format so that your colleagues can open and view those documents. And it's possible for you to open and edit and view the Word documents that they send you in Pages. There are also some cross-platform options like RTF and those types of things in addition to that. But there's really very, very few cases where that will not work. Very few cases where things won't transfer just fine. You might find that there's a different font, and one or the other app is missing a particular font, and then they'll substitute something else in there. But beyond that, you're typically not going to see many issues, especially with word processing documents. It's just not a problem anymore. And so there are all kinds of ways that we can do this. So we are very clearly recommending Pages as the app to learn for all of your word processing and page layout needs. It is the flagship app of the, when we look at basic word processors versus more complex, and we talk about, using Notes as sort of the introductory one, which we learned some basic concepts last week in Notes that will absolutely carry over to Pages this week and next, but and beyond. But really, Pages is the way to go when you want to create a professional document, whether that be writing a letter or a report for school, whether it's writing a book, whether, all these kinds of things that can be done in Pages. So let's get some foundational stuff about Pages out of the way first. Let's talk about it, and then we're going to eventually demo some things later on today. And then on Wednesday, we're going to bring external keyboards into the mix. We started talking about them a little bit last week. This week, we'll really hit hard the external keyboards, because this is where we feel they're really going to shine, right? So we'll put those in on Wednesday. Now, some basics about Pages. First and foremost, just like all your other Apple apps, Pages is compatible with iCloud, built right into the app, right? iCloud is a key part of Pages, which means that when I create, modify, edit, whatever, a document on one device, such as my iPad here, that document is absolutely going to be available on all my other devices. Remember, I have two iPads, praise God. So the Pages document will automatically be available on both of those iPads, plus on my iPhone, plus on my Macintosh, right? Any Apple device, even iCloud.com, I can go on the web and I can access many of the same features, though not all, but most of or a lot of the same Pages features. So you have this iCloud syncing built right in, and support for the iCloud Drive, support for the Files app. You'll actually be able to sort of work with what appears to be like the Files app built right into the Pages app. Remember, we learned the Files app a couple of weeks ago, and I said then that these apps sometimes can have like an API, a framework that makes it look like the Files app is actually right inside the Pages app, and that is absolutely the case here. So that's the one very first thing to know about Pages is it's fully compatible with iCloud. Now, because it's fully compatible with the Files app, that means it also will work with other file sharing services and USB thumb drives and servers and anywhere else you might want to save your documents and open documents. But of course, we highly recommend iCloud as the first choice. In addition to that, Pages is designed to be collaborative. We talked about collaboration already. It's the same thing here in Pages. You can send a copy of a Pages document to people, but you can also collaborate with others, working in real time with one another on the document. VoiceOver will even announce when the other person is making edits where their cursor is. You can jump to their cursor. You can do all sorts of things like that and edit in real time. And you can even start a message or a FaceTime call during the collaboration. And so it's really, really powerful in that regard as well. Another thing to know about Pages, I told you we'd come back to this in a few moments, is that Pages is, as I've stated, both a word processing app and a page layout app. Now, that's something very important to talk about when we are understanding document creation. And there are some explanations of things that are maybe to some people going to seem very, very simple and very elementary, but we've got a large audience here, praise God. And what's very important to me is, when I've been blind since the age of 3, and a lot of these spatial and visual concepts were not something that I understood until somebody sat me down and explained them to me. Well, I want to sit you down and I want to explain them to you because it will be to your benefit to understand them. Remember that we are often working in a situation where sighted people are going to look at what we create, and we need to be able to understand how to work in that environment, right? It's no longer really to our benefit to say, well, I'm blind, so this document may look weird, or it may look very simple, or it doesn't have to. We can learn these things and we can use these more advanced features, but we need to have some basic understanding first. So if some of the things that I explained seem to be very elementary to some of you, I apologize, but I think it'll be good for everybody to have this basic understanding. All right, so word processing versus page layout. Let's start there. Two different distinct kinds of documents, and both are available in Pages. What is the difference? A word processing document is a document in which the text is the primary focus of the document. Okay, so these are things like a paper you might write, a report, a letter to somebody. You're just writing a very simple document, maybe, as I know some students do, working with different organizations like NFB, ACB, or otherwise, that maybe they're keeping board minutes, for meetings and things of that nature. These are going to be documents, again, where text is the central focus of the document. Now, to be clear, just because text is the central focus of the document, that does not mean that you cannot have images, even audio and video, other things in your document, because you absolutely can. But the primary thing about the document, the reason somebody's going to be looking at that document first and foremost, is the text. In a word processing document, there is body text. And you can just open the document and start typing, right? It's the same thing we've been doing for some of us for decades, maybe in Microsoft Word, maybe all the way back to WordPerfect. And some of you remember the old WordPerfect app, right? And you would open WordPerfect and you'd hear doc 1, page 1, line 1, pos 10. Remember that? And you just start typing. You could immediately type. That is a word processing document. It has body text. You can just type. Text flows automatically. When more lines are needed, they're created. When more pages are needed, they're created automatically. You can just keep typing to your heart's content. That is a word processing document. A page layout document, on the other hand, is a document where the most important thing about that document is going to be the design of the document. Now, these are things like brochures, banners, newsletters, maybe, posters, flyers. These are documents where the formatting is going to be absolutely critical, because maybe you want certain text to appear in a sidebar along the side of the document. Maybe you want different layouts for things. Images and text will oftentimes be layered together. Maybe text will flow in a circle around the image, these types of things. And this is where a page layout document is really going to be best. Even some things like restaurant menus and certain books will be best done as page layout documents. Now, a page layout document does not have body text. What that means is that I cannot just start a page layout document and start typing. Also, pages don't get created automatically. If I want new pages, I have to add one. So if you can't just open a page layout document and start typing, where does the text go? The answer to that is you need to create a text box anytime you want to put text in that type of document. Now, some of you are thinking, why would anyone want to do that? Why would you complicate the matter like that? Well, the reason for that, and the advantage to that in certain types of documents, is that because the text is in a box, it's going to make it easier to work with. Let me give you an example. In a basic word processing document, if I type a title, for example, I can format that title, I can center it, I can change the margins, I can do that sort of thing. But let's suppose I've now inserted an image and maybe something else after the title. And I say, boy, I really wish the title were after that image instead of before it. Now, in a word processing document, what am I going to do? I could try to move the image above the title, but that may not work depending on how high up my text is. And consequently, what I'm more than likely going to have to do is cut and paste, right? I'm going to have to select that text, cut, and then paste it down below the image. If the text is in a box, I can literally grab the handles of that text box, and I can drag that text box anywhere on the screen that I want it, thus moving all of the text at one time from one location to another, positioning it literally anywhere in the document that I so choose. I can have it along the side. I can do any of those kinds of things that I wish to do. This is why we use text boxes sometimes. Now, when we get in a couple of, well, actually next week at the Wednesday session next week, as planned right now, praise God, we will be getting into Keynote. Tomorrow, we will be getting into Freeform. You'll see that we have to use text boxes in those apps. We don't have a choice. You've got to use text boxes because it's the only way to put text onto a slide, onto a Freeform board. That's how it must be done. And so it is important for us to learn how to work with these things. But know that in a Pages document, you have the choice, right? But when we do start creating page layout documents, then you're going to have to use text boxes anyway. And basically, a page layout document is like a canvas, and you can put text boxes, you can put images, you can put all sorts of things on that canvas and set them up however you like. Now, with text boxes come some additional challenges for us. And that is the text box large enough to accommodate all the text, or do we need to resize it? Do we need to drag the resize handles to make the text box larger? Do we need to, move the text box to a different location? So there are some additional challenges. VoiceOver does an excellent job of describing the size and the location of the text box, but it still definitely presents more challenges than using a traditional word processing document. And so for our teaching purposes, the vast majority of what we're going to demonstrate are the word processing documents. If you must use a page layout document, I would encourage you to use one of the built-in templates. There's some really beautiful Apple design templates that we'll talk about that ship with Pages, and some of them are page layout templates. So if you know that, for example, you're designing a poster for an event, there is an event poster template, and pretty much if you just fill in the information, the text box will be the appropriate size. And I will also say that when we start using Keynote, for example, you don't really need to worry about the text boxes, because with Keynote presentations, you're writing very short snippets of text at a time. So we're going to try to avoid any of these situations where We have to resize text boxes and so on, but it is possible to do with VoiceOver. It's just that you're going to need probably, or you're going to want some visual assistance to make sure that things really look good if you start using page layout. But I don't want you to think that they can't be used with VoiceOver, because they absolutely can, and they are fully accessible. And in fact, VoiceOver does a terrific job of describing where things are and what size they are and how they're laid out. But again, if you're used to just basic word processing, it does add some additional challenges. So we're not going to focus on that right now, but I did want to explain the difference between the two types. And there's a little bit of melding that can happen. Like if you create a basic word processing document and you decide you want like sidebar text in addition to the body text, you can actually insert a text box even in a word processing document. You can also convert one type of document to the other. So there's a lot of flexibility here. And Pages is one of the few apps of its kind that offers support for both types of documents. Really useful and really important. So that's the first explanation that I wanted to give you today. Now, Apple Pages includes, as I said, a lot of really nice Apple designed templates. And there are some word processing ones and there are some page layout ones. We will use today the blank template to create a basic document. And quite honestly, I typically do use the blank document because you can always add whatever you want and format it the way that you want anyway. And that actually is not just because it's easier. Even my mom, who is fully sighted and who really is a professional designer, does all my design work for my website and other things. Even she typically likes to, and has always historically liked to, start with a blank document because it just gives you more flexibility. Now, there are times that that's not the most appropriate way to go. There are times that that might not be the best way to do it, but it definitely can be useful, especially for word processing. So that's what we're going to do today. Is we're going to do a basic white portrait document. Landscape layout blank document is a page layout. The portrait one is the word processing type. And so we're going to demonstrate that as well when we take a look at the Pages app. Pages supports all of the basic and more advanced and even complex formatting. We're going to show you next week how to insert columns and media. We're going to show you how to insert page numbers. And we'll show you how to prepare your document to become a book, both a print book, like a physical print book, and a digital book. You can create both in Pages, and you can even publish your digital books right to the Apple Bookstore in Pages. Now, there's a few steps there that have to be handled, but you can do it. And as a matter of fact, some of you know that I wrote a book about the Titanic. We demonstrated a little bit in the Apple Books app a couple weeks ago. And the first version of that I wrote back in 2011 was written on the Mac. At that time, Pages was not what it is today on the iPad. It did exist, but it was not as accessible with VoiceOver and not as feature rich. And so at that time, I had written it on the Macintosh. Then when I did a rewrite with some updates and corrections and things of that nature, I did it all on the iPad. And so now I've done that on an iPad, written entire books that way, and actually published directly to Apple Books from the iPad. So it's very, very doable. It's a very smooth process. Everything we learned last week, we're going to demo again or some of the things we're going to demo again here in Pages, like paragraph styles and, attribute changes and so on. All of that is doable. All of it works with VoiceOver. But of course, there's a whole lot more. So we're going to show you that today. And we're going to get started with a demo here in just a moment. Let's go. And I'm assuming that's the contact info in the chat there. All right. Let's get out of this app. And let's go to the page that has Apple Pages on it here. my home screen.
Apple Store, Clips, Garage, Pages.
There it is. And what we'll do is we'll double tap on Pages and open it up.
Pages, NFP, Pages file,
Now, if you have never used Pages before, you will get a welcome message, or even if you have used it but not in a long time and you've installed some updates since then and so forth, you're going to get kind of a welcome, what's new in Pages and so forth, and you can just keep going through that, and eventually you'll continue and you'll have the option to view your documents. We're normally taken by default to what is known here as the document manager. That's the official name for this first screen, is the document manager, but it's going to look a lot like the Files app. If I touch the very top left of the screen, for example,
hide sidebar button.
There's a sidebar. Let me adjust a little here, guys. Try to keep there we go, the noise to a minimum on the iPad that you're hearing there. So again, this is the document manager. Praise God. But it looks a lot like the Files app at the top left.
Hide sidebar button.
And as we swipe right,
more button, Pages, heading, selected, recents button.
Okay, so what's under more? Well, it might look familiar.
More button. Connect to server. Edit sidebar. Dismiss context menu.
Okay, now
hide sidebar. Pages, heading.
Except for the fact that it says Pages, you would never maybe realize that this is not the Files app. But if we go to the right,
selected, recents button.
We have these different choices.
Shared button.
Recents and shared. So it's easy to view the documents that either you've shared with other people or that they've shared with you. And of course, your recents, that's going to specifically show Pages recents, not just all recents. So that's very nice, very useful. Then if we need to go further,
locations button, heading, expanded.
And you remember that.
Double tap to collapse.
Collapsible and expandable, and currently already expanded. Let's look what's in it. Go to the right.
iCloud Drive button, on my iPad button, recently deleted button.
So what we have here is this is just like your Files app. Again, your locations, iCloud Drive, that's certainly my favorite. You also have on my iPad, and then you notice recently deleted. Now, if we keep going to the right,
favorites button, heading, expanded, downloads button.
And you remember that too, right? From the Files app, maybe. That's the expanded section of favorites, which has downloads in it. You can certainly add other things to it.
Tags button, heading, expanded.
And you remember your
double tap to collapse.
Your tags. So we can actually view the tags, and if we choose a tag, we can view the documents that were tagged with that tag. We talked about tags in the Files app. So if you missed it, it's available on the podcast. It's available on the YouTube channel. Go back and listen to that because it's very important. But here are some of our tags.
Faith, The Vessel, JSBS, Faith Summit, Family, Podcasts, TTJ.
All right. Any of these, Now, if I jump over to the right side of the screen,
TT add button.
We have
forward, back, dimmed button.
Back and forward buttons.
See folders you viewed previously.
Right. Go to the right though.
Add button.
We now have an add button. Praise God. There's our add button that allows us to create a brand new document. We'll use that in just a minute or two.
Icons button. Select button.
Again, how are we viewing these particular documents in whatever folder or location we've chosen? As icons right now, here's a select button.
Select button.
That's going to let us sort of do the multi-select and different things, and I'll show you that in a little bit, actually.
Search field.
You can search.
Dictate recents, heading.
Now here's our recents. This is what our Pages recents.
Table test, test event poster small, BCFS donations, Titanic questions 2000, Titan sub timeline, Mac test, iPhone PT4, Pages file, 4/5/24, 11:52 p.m. with Jessica Valbrecht.
And if you'll notice, we leave the voiceover cursor on one of these. It reads the last modified date. It reads if there's any collaboration going on here. And any of these, they'll also have, just like in the Files app, they'll have long press actions. So,
Mac test, Titan sub timeline, Pages file, 4/8/24, 8:03 p.m. with Edward Valbrecht.
If we long press.
Get info button, rename button, duplicate tags button, copy button, move, share button, manage shared file button, reply button, show an enclosing folder, delete now button, dismiss context menu button.
Okay, now some of those
Hide sidebar.
were specific because this is a collaborative document, so manage shared file and reply and so on. Those things are there because it's a collaboration document. But again, you can long press on any of these, or you can just double tap to open one. So if you have documents already, you can easily double tap to open it. Non-voiceover users just tap on it. But that's the document manager. Now, there's more to talk about with the document manager, because one of the things that we need to learn about Pages right away is that Apple has done away with the old save as versus save and all of those complicated things that make people sort of shrug their shoulders and say, well, I really don't know if I understand it. That's not how it works in the Apple world, especially on the iPad and iPhone, but even on the Mac. When you create a new document on your iPad, for example, there's no need to actually save as or save. The document's automatically saved, and it automatically continues to save every so often. But what you can do is you can give it a name, and in some cases there's like a forced manual save if you want to do it before the time that it does it automatically, but it usually does it very quickly and you don't even see that as an option. But you definitely can rename your document right away, and that's something that we highly recommend, because unlike notes, the first line of text does not become the document name. Okay, now if you're a Word user, that does happen, I think, in Microsoft Word, where your first line of text becomes the default title of the actual file. That's not what happens here. What happens here is the file name is going to become the name of the template that you've chosen. In fact, when I create a blank document in a few minutes, you'll see that it wants to call it blank 3, because I have two other documents that I created and never properly renamed from years ago, and I just left them there, and it's a good way to demonstrate that. So you'll see that it wants to call it blank 3, but of course we're going to go in and we're going to quickly change the name. But there's no need to save as, or even to save. It's going to keep saving automatically for you. All you need to do is rename the document. Now, the other thing that happens in addition to that is that you have the capability of going back to previous versions of the document. And this is especially useful if you make a change that you didn't like. And so in order to go back to previous versions, you have to use this document manager that we're in right now. And you can't be in the recents section. You actually have to go to the folder where the file is located that you want to work with. But it is useful, and it's something that I will show you very quickly, but not yet, because I want to create a new document first, and I want to show you around the new document screen. Some of you may not have existing documents, so I want to save that for a little bit later. Let's go to the Add button, however, and let's create a new document.
BCFS dictate, search, select, icons, add button.
And there it is. There's the Add button. We're going to create a new document, and it's going to bring us up to the template chooser.
Add cancel button.
Now, there's the cancel button if we don't want to do this, but let's go to the right.
Choose a template. Heading, recents button. Basic button, reports button, books button, letters, resumes, flyers and posters, newsletters, stationery, certificates, miscellaneous button, recents, heading.
Look at all those categories, and if you double tap one, it automatically takes you to the appropriate heading. So let's go back to basic.
Report, basic button.
And we'll double tap. Now,
blank, empty white portrait document.
That's the one we're going to want. If you look here,
blank layout, empty white page layout document.
And it actually tells us that it's a layout. And
blank landscape, empty landscape document.
So we want the first one.
Blank, Empty white portrait document.
We're just going to double tap to create it.
Blank. Empty.
Okay.
Canvas. Body. Text field is editing. Character mode. Insertion point at start. Double tap to edit.
And very helpfully, the insertion point and the voiceover cursor are already placed in the edit field of this blank document. Remember, it is a word processing document, so it's got body text. We can literally just start typing if we want to. But I actually don't want to do that right now. The first thing I want to do is I want to rename this document. So we're going to go up to the very... Excuse the puppy there for a minute. Let's do I'm going to do a 4-finger single tap near the top left. That's a great way.
Pages. Canvas. Body. Back button.
And I'm on the back button.
Back button.
You can see that's as far to the left as we can go. That is the back button that will actually take us out of this new document that we've created and back to the document manager. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to, we found the back button here.
Back button.
And again, that takes us out of the document and back to the document manager. But let's swipe to the right and see what else there is here.
View options button.
Okay, so we should look at those, and we will, but not yet. I want to sort of keep it simple first, but I do want to rename this document. So let's go to the right again.
Blank 3. Actions menu button.
It said the name of the document currently, which is blank 3, and it said actions menu. This is the button that we want to use to rename this document, and you're going to see that it has a lot more than just renaming if we double tap it. So let's go into this actions menu, which has the name of the document, currently blank 3.
Body.
And
text body. Reading
whoops,
view.
all right, hold on.
Back button. Table of content. Blank 3. Blank 3. Share button. Pages document. Middle dot 88 kilobytes.
Notice the very first thing we had, even before the description, was the share button.
Share button.
Because it's very important, right? To collaborate, to send a copy, that's right there. Let's go to the right.
Pages document. Document options button. Collapsed.
Document
Double
options.
tap to expand.
Now, we definitely are going to save that for a bit later, because that's a bit more advanced. We will use it, but not right now, okay? But that's document options. But let's go to the right again.
Rename button. Move button. Export button. Print button. Outdent, dimmed, indent, but font family button. Cap high.
We're actually past the menu now.
And out print button.
That was the last one, print. The rest of those things are separate from that menu, and I'll show that to you in a minute. What happens is this menu sort of overlays the screen, but you can still see the document. So if you keep swiping, you actually get out of this menu and into the other parts of the document. But print is the last thing. So we can print out this document with a connected AirPrint printer. We talked about that last week already. As long as your iPad and your printer are on the same Wi-Fi network, there's really no setup to do. To be done, you can just print, select the printer. You'll have a lot of the normal printer options that you would expect, paper, type, and all those sorts of things. They'll vary depending on what printer model it is. In my case, we have a pretty advanced printer, praise God. It's a Canon printer, and it does have a lot of, it's a multi-function, but it's a very high-end one, so it's got a lot of options there. But if we go back to the left,
export button.
You're going to see export, and we'll talk about export. We'll demonstrate that a little bit later, because that's where you'll find how to export to other formats like Word and PDF and even the book format and so on. But again, what we're looking for right now is rename. So let's go back again to the left.
Move button. Rename button.
And there it is. So I will just double tap on this.
Dismiss context.
And
numbers.
Whoops.
Dismiss context. Monday, April.
Okay.
Blank 3.
I missed. There we go.
Document rename. But rename. Canvas. Body. Text field.
Now,
done.
I have a done button where the return is, and I'm just going to find delete.
Delete. Selection deleted.
It had blank 3. We'll type test.
Cap T.
Cap
E S T.
And I'll put
hyphen test. O.
iPad.
Cap P. Cap A D. Equal
We'll put
hyphen
class.
iPad. Cap C L L A S S.
2024.
02024.
Okay, and I'll hit done, which is just where the return key would be.
Done.
Now, if we touch up here near the top,
Body. Reading canvas. Body. Reading view. Back view options. Test iPad class 2024. Actions menu. Button.
You can see that it's no longer called blank 3. All right. So now let me show you what else we have. If we keep swiping to the right, we're going to get into this toolbar, which is available on the iPad in Pages and the related apps. And the toolbar has a lot of options that we will work with later.
Table of contents. Button. Insert table. Button. Insert chart. Button. Insert shape. Button. Insert media. Button.
All right, there's all your insert options: table, chart, shape, and media. We're going to demonstrate those, but not today. But just remember that they are part of the toolbar. Also part of the toolbar,
Share. Button.
again, there's another share button. So there's two ways to do that. That share button appears right there in the document on the toolbar for us.
Undo. Dimmed. Button.
There's an undo button right there on the toolbar.
Format. Dimmed. Button.
And a format button right there on the toolbar. Now, the reason that format button is dimmed right now is because nothing is selected. Nothing is even in the document. You have to have some text or some kind of an object, whether it be an image, an audio file, a shape, a chart. You have to have something, some kind of object in the document to be able to select in order for it to be formatted. So we're going to keep going to the right.
More. Button.
There's a more button. We will look at what's under that later, not right now.
Reading view. Button.
And then there's the reading view button. That puts it into a mode where we can read the document but not edit the document. And it makes it very beneficial when you're just trying to scroll through the document and read it without making any changes at that moment. You can use, if you're a voiceover user, you can use the magic tap to toggle between the reading view and the edit view. Let's go to the right.
Canvas. Body. Text field. Double tap to edit.
And there's
Double
the
tap
body.
to edit. Use the rotor to access document headings, links, misspelled words, comments, highlights, bookmarks.
Look at all that. That's all stuff that apparently is in the rotor. Isn't that cool? This is the canvas, the body area. This is where we type our text. And let's go to the right again.
Body. Text.
That's it for now. So let's double tap to get into this.
Body. Text field is editing. Insertion point at start.
Now,
Double tap to edit.
I want to show you that because we're now in the edit field, if you go above the on-screen keyboard here,
1. Grave accent.
or to the left of the keyboard as you swipe left,
Insert button.
we have another insert button. That is a very different insert button than the ones that were up on the toolbar. Remember, on the toolbar, we could insert shapes, media, charts, tables. This insert button is completely different, and I'll show it to you now. Let's double tap it.
Page break. Section break. Column break. Page number. Page count. Date and time. Bookmark. Footnote. Table of contents.
Okay,
Table.
those are the things we can insert from that menu. Let's dismiss that. Sort of swipe.
Dismiss pop-up.
Or tap off of it.
Table of content.
And then another thing you have up here, show you what else is in that sort of menu just above the keyboard. We had insert.
Outdent. Out canvas.
That's where those outdent and indent buttons are.
Outdent. Dimmed. Indent. Button.
Remember, I told you that they were there when we saw I was in that other menu before.
Font family. Button.
Okay, this is like a quick bar, and your font family is a quick way to change, like,
Fonts. Heading. All fonts. Academy engraved lead. Al Nile. More info. But American typewriter. More info. Apple color emoji. More info. Apple SD Gothic Neo. Apple symbols.
all these different fonts. We will get out of that.
American type picture in picture. Pages. Fonts. Heading. Fonts. All fonts.
Okay,
Heading.
so
Dismiss pop-up. Activate to dismiss pop-up window. Apple symbols. Academy fonts.
again,
Heading.
that's just a quick way to change your font. It's not the only way.
Dismiss pop-up. Activate to dismiss pop-up window. Apple symbols. Canvas. Body. Text field is editing. Insertion point at start. Reading more.
And again, if you're not sure,
Format. Undo.
remember,
Button.
there's always an undo button.
Outdent. Indent. Font family. Cap I. B.
And those are your quick type suggestions.
Bold. Button.
There's even a quick bold button,
Italic. Button.
italic,
Underline. Button. button, font size, button, align left, button, insert, button, grab accent.
All of those things are above the on-screen keyboard and always there for the ready when you need them. Now we will start typing.
Return.
And we'll just
Cap E S T space test. Cap D cap O cap O mend.
Again, it's going to auto predict, auto correct.
Return.
Put 2 blank lines.
New line. New line.
We'll say this is a test.
Cap A I S space T E S period test. New line. New line.
2 more blank lines, and again, we'll do that famous sentence about the fox, the one that has every letter of the alphabet.
Cap H space U I not
If you misspell something,
space quick.
it fixes it automatically. If it can, I'll try to purposefully misspell.
B O space O X J U M P X O V E O space H space L A what space O G period dog new line.
Let's spell something wrong on purpose.
Cap J E E L L O period Gilo misspelled.
Okay.
New line.
So, some of the same stuff we did before, like fixing spelling errors. Let's go back to the beginning.
Canvas body text field.
Just double tap to go back to the
insertion point at start.
Set the rotor. Now, remember the distinction between the voiceover cursor being in the edit field and on the keyboard. We want to put it on the keyboard here, so I'll tap on return. And let's turn the rotor now.
Bookmarks, highlights, comments, misspelled words.
Let's swipe down.
Selected.
There's one.
Jill.
Okay, it didn't even recognize that I was trying to type hello. So let me just type hello while it's selected.
Cap J. Cap H. Cap E. Semicolon. L O.
And let's.
New line. Hello. Characters. Actions. Bookmark. High comments. Misspelled words.
Now there are none.
Swipe cap P.
Okay.
Period. New line.
Now there are none.
O.
So.
New period. Period. New line.
Now.
New line. New line.
We have 2 blank lines at the end. So let's read this whole document.
Canvas. Body. Text field is editing. Test document. This is a test. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Hello.
Okay, so the next
mode, insertion point at end.
The next thing to do here is that I want to do some formatting, and we're going to use a lot of the same concepts we learned in the Notes app. You'll recall our discussion about paragraph styles or text styles. If you don't, please go back and listen to that previous episode because it is very important. A paragraph style is a collection of attributes that will match the template, that will automatically be applied, and we're going to choose, for example, the title style, but I'm going to format it further because I don't just want what they do in the title style. I want to center it. I might even want to change the color because we can do that in Pages, you know. So we're at the beginning. I think I went to the beginning, didn't I?
New line.
No, I didn't.
Canvas.
I had before when I did misspelling. But now we need to go again.
Insertion point at start.
Okay, now we're at the beginning. So the very first thing I want to do is I want to select the title, which we called test document.
Return words, lines, text selection, word selection, test, document, selected, lines.
And I've turned the rotor away from text selection now because that's the right thing to do so you don't accidentally delete or something. Let's find our format button in the toolbar.
Canvas, body, reading, more, format, button, text, heading.
And right away, because we have text selected, the formatting options will be related to text. If we had selected an image, there would be image formatting options and so on. Whatever kind of object you select or text, whatever, then the format menu adjusts accordingly. So we have text selected. Now,
reading view, text, heading, paragraph style, heading, body, button.
It's body. So we want to change that to title. So let's double tap.
Title. Subtitle. Heading. Heading 2. Heading 3. Heading red.
Look at all these choices. We want
title. Selected. Title.
Now I want to go back, so go to the left.
Edit. Button. Paragraph styles. Headed. Text. Back button. Text.
Okay.
Paragraph style. Heading. Title. Button.
Well, let's see what that's done for us.
Font. Helvetica Neue. Button.
Okay. Well, let's for fun change the font?
Georgia button. More info. Gilsons. Grant the Sang.
I'm just picking one randomly.
Helvetica. Selected.
Oh,
More info. Galgi. Futuro. More info. Euphemia using DIN alternate.
I don't really know what a lot of these look like.
D dot. Devanagari Sangam N. Damascus. Courier new. Damascus.
Let's do Damascus just for fun.
Selected. Damascus.
Now we're going to go back to the left.
Arial. Text. Back button. Text.
Okay.
Font. Damascus. Button.
So the font is Damascus, whatever that looks like.
Selected. Bold. Button.
Notice that because we applied the title style, it's already bold.
Italic. Button.
It's not italicized, but we could add that if we want.
Size.
And then,
Underline. Select. Italic. But selected. Italic.
so now you've got,
Selected. Bold. Selected. Italic.
okay.
Button. Underline. Button.
Well, we won't underline it.
Strike through. Button.
Or strike through.
More text options. Button.
We won't even look at what those are right now because it could just be overwhelming, but there are even more text options under there.
Size.
What's the size of title style text in Pages?
Size. 30 points. Adjustable.
All right, we're going to...
Swipe up or down with one finger to adjust the value. Use the rotor to access adjust value in segments.
So notice that you can adjust the value here by swiping up and down, and it will change the font size.
31, 32 point, 30 point.
But notice that they said the rotor had segments too.
Vertical navigate headings, content screen word care actions. Adjust value in set edit. Adjust value.
So,
Edit. Adjust value in segments.
what does that do?
29 point size 28 30 point size 31 point 30 edit adjust 29 30
Interesting. It must be doing it a little bit differently, but it doesn't seem to really give us a clear indication. But I think we can actually type in one of these specific size if we want to. So maybe there was a keyboard. I didn't even look.
text color black 0 button.
All right, I want to change the text color. So let's go into this.
Canvas body text color heading selected reset button color button.
Let's pick color.
Selected color video.
What color?
Picture in red, orange, red, in blue 2, green 3, lime 3, yellow 3, gold 3, amber 3, orange 3, red 3.
Oh,
red
let's
64.
let's make it red.
Selected red 3. Dismiss pop space.
Now we can dismiss the pop-up,
Dismiss 7.
but
Dismiss pop cap I. Cap left square bracket. Outdent. Indent font family. But it font size. But align in 1 2.
notice that what's still here, and this is what I want to show you. Notice what you're still hearing.
3. Return apostrophe semicolon.
Our document is still here too, because this overlays the document just like that other menu that we have. So the formatting options are up on top and the document is still below.
Text color heading.
See that?
Reset. Text color heading.
All right, so we have the text color.
Selected gradient image white image text color.
We can scrub to go back.
Text heading.
And now let's look at what we've done so far.
Paragraph style heading title star button update button.
Now what in the world happened there? Why does it have title with an asterisk or a star and then it says update next to it? Well, that's because after we applied the title text style, we made some changes. We changed the font. We didn't change the font size. We played with the font size, but we left it as 30 point. We changed the color, and we also italicized, which they hadn't done. So what they're saying to us here is, for the duration of this document, anytime you apply the title style, do you want it to look the way you've made it look now, or do you want to leave it as what we think the title style should be? And so if I want it to, every time that I choose title, if I want it to be red and bold and italics and so on, I could update this. It would only be for this document. It's not, anytime you create a new document, it's going to go back to the default style settings, but it would allow me to update it for the duration of this document if I wanted to.
Font Damascus button selected bold selected italic underline strike through more text size 30 points text color Red 64. Selected. Align left.
The other thing I want to do with this title text is I want to center it, because who doesn't want their title to be centered?
Align center. But selected. Align center.
All right, so now we've aligned it center.
Align right. Align justified. Bullets and lists. None. Button.
You have bullets and lists, which we won't do right now.
Outdent. Dimmed. Indent. Button.
And those also relate then. You can have even sub lists.
Line spacing. 1.00. Button.
We can adjust the line spacing here.
Columns. 1. Button.
We can even say how many columns we want.
Drop cap. Switch button. Off. Indents. Button. Paragraph borders and background. Button. Canvas.
Look at all those options before we get back to the actual document. Now, over here,
Test iPad class 2. Shift unselected. Format.
you'll notice that format is still selected. So if I want to hide these options, I can just double tap again.
Format.
And now they go away, and I just have the document. But what I want to do now is read this document, and I'll do it by using the rotor.
Words.
We'll deselect what's there too when we move.
Test document. This unselected is this document. Test document. This body Helvetica Neue 11 point black 0, not bold, not italic, natural alignment.
And what did you hear? Listen to that.
This document.
That is telling us that, in fact, there was a change to the attribute there.
Bottom right corner, thumbnail width, pages. Bottom right corner, thumbnail width, pages. Bottom
and you
right
can
corner,
even,
right
if I want, there's even going to be a keyboard command I can read the attributes manually. But listen to how it announced those attribute changes.
Test document.
When I moved
This
to that, it told me that it was body.
bottom right corner,
And I think I can
pages.
do, if I tap on this.
Bottom
No,
right,
it doesn't
bottom
seem
right
to be
corner,
doing that right now.
width,
Usually you can
pages.
3-finger tap to also read it, but there is a keyboard command that we will learn that will do it too.
This document.
And if you
Document. This body Helvetica Neue 11 point black 0, not bold, not italic, natural alignment.
see, it's telling me all that information that I want to know. Now, if we are, let's see what else we
Line.
misspelled.
Line.
All
Tango.
right, so this is the test.
Words. Document. Misspelled. Test.
It's not actually misspelled. It's the way
Document.
Okay. All right. So we can read by words. We can read by lines.
Test document.
Right? We showed you spelling errors, how to correct those. We've already renamed this document. So this is, that's the most basic. Let's see.
Test document. Body. This is a test. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Hello, period.
And if we want to do something else here.
New hello, period.
Oh, let's take the word.
New line. This is a test. This is a test. Words. The quick.
Okay, let's do like quick brown.
Lines.
Well,
word. Quick.
Yeah, quick brown.
Line. Text. Line. Words. Quick. Brown. Selected. Lines.
Okay, we could manually do some formatting here.
Body. More. Format. Button. Text. Head. Paragraph style. Body. Font. Bold. Button. Selected. Bold. Italic. Button. Selected. Italic. Underline. Button.
All right, and let's just...
Reading view. More. Selected. Format.
All right.
Return. Quick brown. Unselected.
So...
Space. N. November. Bold. Helvetica Neue. Italic.
See, when I move through them, it tells me when the attribute changes.
N. No space. Not bold. Helvetica Neue. Not italic.
Isn't that cool? Because it really works, and VoiceOver automatically tells you when you've changed the attribute. So it is very, very convenient to do that. So we've bolded the words quick brown. Again, Wednesday we're going to learn how to do this with keyboards. Now, the... next week we're going to get more advanced too. We're going to show you how to insert facing pages and page numbers and so on. But this is some of the most basic stuff that you might do with a document, right? You might change the font, change the color, change the size. You might center some text, you those kinds of things that we would typically do. And the two ways of fixing spelling errors that we showed you in notes both work here. I just showed you the global misspelled words option in the rotor to prove that that works in Pages as well. But you also have the edit rotor, remember, which has replace in it if there's a misspelling you find that way too. Well, let's look at some of these other rotor options here. When we are on the keyboard,
Bookmarks.
We have bookmarks. If we put a document bookmark in here, we can move between bookmarks.
Highlights.
And if we highlight,
Comments.
and if we have comments, all of those things are available in the rotor.
Misspelled words.
Of course, misspelled words.
Links.
Document links, we can do that.
Document headings.
Okay, document headings, we don't have any of those right now. Edit, and again.
Copy style. Select. Highlight. Comment. Bookmark. Text format. Page format. Select all. Copy style.
Look at all those choices in the edit rotor.
Typing mode.
Then you're
vertical heading, context, screen text, line, words.
Back to the normal ones that you know. So all those are added in there automatically for you. Now, one of the things that that I just thought about too is the link option. So if we want to do links again, like we did in the Notes app, we can do that. So
return characters FO.
Let's go here.
Word line X hello period words character new line.
All right, so we're just going to put that here, Apple, and I'm going to make that a link. Now, in order to make that a link, what we have to do is we have to select it first. So I'll use the text selection.
Lines, text selection, Apple, selected.
And now it is selected. Now, what is our next step here? Well,
lines, words, characters, bookmarks, highlights, comments, misspelled word, links, document heading, edit, replace, copy, comment, link.
We're going to double tap on link.
Back button.
Now
display, text field.
The first thing you have is display. Just like in Notes, what is the link text? And it says display. That's
display, Apple, text
what we're going to see. But then here, link to
web page button, link, www.apple.com, text.
And that's actually what we're going to do, but that's not really in there. They're just giving that as an example. This button here,
web page button.
Let's look at what the choices are.
Selected, web page, email, phone number, button, bookmark, button.
So you can link to an email address, a phone number, a bookmark within the document. We're going to choose web page, which was already chosen anyway, but I wanted to show you the other options.
Remove, button, remove, link, www.apple.com, text field, link, text
now,
field is edited, done.
We have to type that because
www period
here's
APPLE period OM.
And then now I should be able to hit done. And look at this now.
Shift. Link settings, heading, display, Apple, link to web page, but link, www, remove,
you can remove it. We're going to just
link settings, back button,
go back
button, open link button, www,
okay,
copy button.
You can copy it, open it,
link settings,
and then
link settings,
we're just going to
link settings,
scrub out of this because
body, contains link, text
notice it says contains link.
Apple selected, return Apple, link, space, unselected, words, Apple.
And this is a link. So if you read this document,
text field is editing, test document. This is a test. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Hello. Apple. Word mode, insertion point after Apple, at the 92nd position.
It tells us where.
Tap to edit. Use the rotor to access document headings, links, misspelled words, comments, highlights, bookmarks.
And it even tells us where the insertion point is. And again, because we have the links in the rotor, see, we can find that right away with links. And there it is. It's in the rotor also under links. So It's easy to create links in your document. It's easy to create, we're going to show you how to insert some other things next week, like shapes and photos and even audio. You can even insert video and audio or web video, like from YouTube and so on. But you've seen today, the formatting is very similar to what it is in Notes, except there are a lot more options, right? We can manually adjust the font size, the text color. We had the ability to do even more that I didn't show you um, in the more text options, because again, there's just so much that it's not something I want to do all in one day. I want to take it slowly with this. But just to review the steps that we did today, if you want to create a brand new document, when you open Pages and you hit Add, you can pick the template of your choosing. Right now, we just used the blank template. It was under Basic, and then we picked the blank, empty, white portrait document. Notice that the very first thing we did was we renamed the document. And again, we went up here.
View options. Test iPad class 2024 actions menu.
To the actions menu, which at the time would say blank actions menu or blank 2 or blank 3, whatever. And we double tapped on that and we chose rename. Once that's done, your document is now named properly and you're ready to begin typing. And so we went to the edit field, we started typing. And then remember, when you want to make some formatting changes, you have to select some text first. That's the first step there, is selecting the text that you wish to format. Then you can go up to the format menu in the toolbar. Now remember also that whenever you bring up these menus, the rest of the document is still there. And so if you are not familiar with this, it can seem confusing, because if I, for example, I'll just do it again. If I bring up format.
Insert, share, undo, format, but text, heading.
Now, as long as I swipe right, I'm going to stay in the format menu.
Paragraph style, head, body star, font, bold, italic, selected, underline.
But if and the reason that that's underlined is because the thing that's selected right now is a link, by the way. But if I touch somewhere else,
Cap A, Cap S, Cap D.
Now you're like, whoa, wait a minute, what happened to my format menu? I'm back in the document. Your format menu is still there, but it is not the only thing that's there. It's overlaying the document, so you can see both visually.
Body, contained link, empty line, empty line.
See,
the quick brown font,
there's the body, but if we go up to the left here,
share, undo, selected, format.
Format is still selected, and so if you swipe right,
paragraph style, body,
there's your formatting options, okay? And again, you can choose a paragraph style, and you can manually format as well. Now, when you're done formatting, if you want to reduce clutter in the document, you can deselect this.
Text, reading view, more, selected, format, but format.
And now it's not going to be there. You do have the quick bar just above the keyboard.
More, reading view, canvas, body, outdent, dimmed, indent, button, font family, apply, ample. Apples.
Okay, and then there's the 3 quick type suggestions, which right now happen to be based on the fact that I'm on this link for Apple. So that's how that works. But again, just remember that the quick bar is always there. And in that toolbar, you also heard reading view.
Reading view button.
Just a reminder of what that is is your toggle between edit mode and reading view mode, which in reading view, you can just read and scroll through the document and not type. There are going to be fewer options available when you're in reading view, but it's designed as a safeguard, and it's a way of just reading the document without making any changes. You can also use the VoiceOver users can use the magic tap to switch between the reading view and the edit mode. I won't demonstrate that because I think it probably will actually hang up the Zoom call if I do. But normally you can do that 2-finger double tap with VoiceOver to switch back and forth. Also, again, another reminder about when you start typing, if you want to do any like spelling corrections, sure that the VoiceOver cursor is focused on the on-screen keyboard, not on the edit field itself. There are different options. If I touch the edit field,
body, contained link, empty line,
and I choose the rotor here,
bookmark, bookmarks, highlight, comments, misspelled words, links, document heading, edit, typing, vertical heading, content, screen text, line, word, care, actions.
There's an actions.
Add comment, text format, open link, edit link, page format, bookmark, drag text, activate.
Look at all those options, right? That's when I'm in the edit field. I don't have that under.
Return, bookmarks, characters.
See, I don't have an actions menu,
Highlight,
but
comments, misspelled words, links, document edit.
I do have some of these other choices. So you just need to be very careful about where the voiceover cursor is. You know how to do misspellings, how to correct those. And again, if we want to add a link, we're going to use the edit rotor. We're going to select the text that we want to use as a link. Then we're going to set the rotor to edit and choose link. And that's how you can enter the link URL or choose what you're linking to and that sort of thing. Now, this is a lot of information, and I'm almost ready to finish up and take your questions, but I want to show you one other thing before we do that. So I want to go back.
View option, back button.
And we didn't even do view options. Let's take a quick look at what's under there.
View option. Page thumbnails. 2 pages view. Button. Show word count. Button. Show ruler. Hide smart annotations. Hide comments. Outdent. Dim. Indent.
Okay, and then you're back to that other menu, the quick bar. So if I want to know how many words are in this document.
Show word count. Button. Video.
Now.
Pages. Body.
Again, it's not the only thing. It's not like a dialog box. It's displaying this as an overlay, so we've got to find it.
One word. Outdent.
Okay, the reason it says one word right now is because
return. New line. Selected. Shift. Body. 17 words.
Because I had a word selected. That word apple was selected. But now look, I've deselected it.
17 words.
And it tells me how many words are in the actual document. There are 17 words. And that's at the very bottom of the document.
17 words.
It doesn't bring up a dialog box. It's just there. Here's my document.
Canvas. Body. Text field is editing. Test document.
Swipe to the right.
17 words.
And there's the word count. If you want to hide that again.
View options. Page thumbnail. 2 pages. Hide word count. Button. Video.
All right. We'll talk about what some of those other options do next week.
Pages. Back button.
Go back.
Back button. Hide
and
sidebar.
The one other thing I want to show you for today. If you decide that you want to work with versions, remember I told you about document versions a little bit ago, you must go into an actual folder. You can't use recents. So we're going to go to Pages.
On my iCloud Drive.
iCloud Drive.
Messages, numbers, pages, folder page, create document.
And the first thing you're going to do is hit Select up at the top here.
11 test 1, 3, 1, create, dictate, search, select, button. Select, done, button.
Now we will select a document in this list.
BCFS donations, selected, BCFS donations, pages file, 9/21/23.
And you can hear that it's selected, and at the bottom,
toolbar, delete, button, more, move, button, duplicate, button, share, button, 300, sync with
okay.
Vertical,
so
toolbar,
you've got
share, button.
Your document selected. You can hear that there are options at the bottom to delete it, to move it, to share it. But up at the top,
VO tab, select all, button.
You have select all.
One item selected, heading.
But swipe to the right.
Select icons, versions, button.
And there's a versions button. What this allows us to do, as I said, let's suppose we made a change to a document that we didn't like and we wanted to revert back to a previous version. We double tap on versions with this document selected.
Done button.
We have a done button, so we know how to get out of this. And let's go to the right.
Version history, heading, current version.
Okay, so this is the current version.
September 21st, 2023 at 12:46 p.m. BCFS donations.
If we swipe to the right again,
previous versions.
We're going to have a whole bunch of previous versions.
September 21st, 2023 at 12:45 p.m. BC August 9th, August 9th, August 9th.
Look at all these versions we have. So, okay, here's a version.
6:54 p.m.
If I want to use that version, I double tap it.
Selected August 9th.
And at the bottom,
restore button. Preview button.
There's a preview button and a restore button. So I can preview this version without restoring, or I can actually restore to this version if that's what I like better. And so what we'll do
Version history. Current done.
is we'll say done, because I don't actually want to do
Hide side.
any of that right now. But you can see how convenient that could be as well in a situation where maybe you made a change and you said, I don't remember what all I changed, but I know I like the older version better from yesterday. Well, you can go in and do that. Now, remember, we had to go into iCloud Drive and into Pages. We were not able to use recents. So
Recents,
if I'm here, you're going to...
iPhone PT1 add but forward.
There's no versions button in the recents. You have to actually be in a folder. You go into that folder, you select a document, you use the select button, and actually double tap something to select it. Then you can see versions up at the top, and it'll be available, and you can restore and make your changes and so forth. All right, so coming up on Wednesday, we are going to use external keyboards. We're going to learn about how to navigate and how to format and edit documents and so forth with the smart keyboards or Bluetooth keyboards. So for the first time, we're going to start learning some keyboard commands, because I think truly when you're typing long documents, that's a great place to use keyboards. So we're going to learn about that on Wednesday. Next week, we're going to go even further with Pages. We're going to do some advanced stuff, inserting different objects, and we're going to do some book preparation, those kinds of things on Monday. Remember that we have a lab tomorrow with Freeform, but we're going to continue this on Wednesday.
Outro, Matt. I wanted to let everybody know. You might have heard me mention it to Matt a little bit, but it will be going. It's actually already live. The new website for where all my podcasts are: Tech Talk, Christian Talk, and Sports Talk. For those who actually listen to them, it's on my new website, which is Coast the number 2 and then coaststudio.com. You'll find the homepage there. Each show has its own page, and you can also find it on the Sturitup podcast or Sturitup website if you just click on the podcast link on the homepage. So if you can't remember that website, but again, it's Coast the number 2, the word coaststudio.com, and then you'll find the links just like you can subscribe there. You can also go to the each individual or podcast page where it gives you a description, ways to reach us, ask questions, be on the show, all that good stuff. So that's where all that stuff is. Once my webmaster, which is Matt's mom, takes a look at it and approves it, then it'll it's like I said, it's live already, but that's basically what I'm waiting for. So just a heads up for all that listen to my podcast, or you can just go to the usual RSS feed and it's still there. So.
All right. Sounds good. So everybody, thank you so much. Kliph, thanks for your help. And remember, we have lab tomorrow in the other session, and then iPad class on Wednesday. We'll keep it going. God bless you, everybody. And thanks for joining us here. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining today's session. Didn't get your question answered? Want a free consultation or some paid one-on-one training? Email us at support@ttjtech.biz or support@sturitup.com. And remember, Stir is spelled with a U. That's STURITUP.com. Or check out our websites for additional free resources. That's ttjtech.biz or Sturitup.com. I'm Trainer Kliph. Thanks for joining us. God bless. See you next time.